Hello, everyone. Welcome to Choices Finding Your Joy, brought to you by On Point Neuro. I am really excited to share with you today Ravinder Singh, MD. He is a board-certified neurologist, American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology. He is the founder of the Beverly Hills Headache Institute, BHHI, and he is the author of Not Tonight, I Have a Headache. And I must share with everything, I read a lot of books. I like to read all the books of everyone I interview, plus I read others on top of that. This book just blew me away. It is absolutely fantastic. I just loved it. And I just loved it, Ravinder. So I would like to first off say welcome. I am so honored to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me and having me on. And I'm excited to be on your show.
Oh, thank you so much. And the information and that you'll be able to share with everyone, I'm just so happy to have you here. I would love to begin, Doctor, with just a bit of your background, if you would.
Well, I'm a neurologist, as you mentioned, and I went to West Indies for my medical education. I actually grew up in the U.S. I went to high school in California, and I went to UCLA as undergrad, and then I went to Grenada, West Indies, for my medical school. And then I came back to the United States and I started my medical training or continued my medical training here. And I came back to UCLA and did my neurology residency at UCLA and the VA Medical Center. That was years ago, back in the 1990s. And then I did a fellowship in traumatic brain injuries and stroke and epilepsy. And I became a stroke specialist. But then I went into private practice. And in private practice, I realized I was seeing a lot of patients with migraine headaches. And that's the bread and butter of almost all neurologists. Chronic pain, migraine is a very common complaint. And so I became very interested in migraine headaches because I was seeing a lot of patients. Now, as you can tell from my appearance, I'm not from this country originally. I'm from India, and so when I was seeing these patients in my office, a lot of my patients, I could help them because I was specializing in migraine headaches. But there were a lot of patients who came to me who I couldn't help much, and no matter how many medications I gave them, or tried different combination of medications or other changes, other treatments at that point, they weren't really getting better. So that wasn't satisfying to me, obviously wasn't satisfying to them. And so I started looking around and said, what else can I offer them? And being from India, India, we have a lot of alternative therapies there. We have Ayurvedic medicine, which goes back, thousands of years, and homeopathy, which actually began in Germany, but then became very common in India. And as you know, yoga is very popular here, and yoga obviously originated from India. And then I also looked at other cultures, for example, Chinese medicine with acupuncture, and also then chiropractic treatments. And so I said, okay, well, if I, with my medications, can help all my patients, maybe we can offer some other techniques that might be able to help them better. So I started referring my patients to an acupuncturist or started doing some yoga therapy. And slowly I started to see that these patients were getting better with some of these therapies. And so I wanted to, and then that kind of led me to start my own integrative center. So I decided instead of me sending the patients out to a person, acupuncturist here or a yoga therapist somewhere else and trying to find people, it might be a good idea to put them all in one location and have all these different therapies, in one office. So that's when I started the integrative center, started seeing a lot of good results. We had like a yoga therapist. The yoga, people in this country have a very different idea of what yoga is. All they know is just, going to a yoga studio and becoming a pretzel or being able to stand on your head. That's only one part of yoga. Yoga actually is a part of medicine. It's part of Ayurvedic medicine. And so you can use yoga as therapy, but only if somebody who's trained in that. And I'm lucky to have somebody who's trained in Ayurvedic medicine and uses yoga as therapy for different medical conditions. And then acupuncture, again, there are a lot of acupuncturists around, but somebody who can specialize in migraine headaches. So basically, we started this center which has acupuncture, homeopathy, Ayurvedic medicine, yoga therapy, chiropractic medicine, and nutritional counseling as well. And there's another allergy elimination technique called NAET. And so basically we combine everything in one area. And the benefit is that, and I haven't given up my medications. I'm still a neurologist and I still practice, Western medicine. But it just opens up our, the toolbox has a lot of different tools in it now. So instead of just being only able to offer medications, we can offer different things and people will respond to different techniques. So that's been my journey. Started in medical school. I wanted to help people, and when I found that I couldn't help completely with Western medicine. Now, I'm not saying Western medicine is bad or Eastern medicine is all good. There are strong points of both Western medicine and Eastern medicine, and there are equally weak points for both of these different kinds of medication or medicine systems. So it's about combining what works for you, finding what's the right technique for you. And that's been my medical journey, is to help people with migraine or actually other neurological conditions find the best treatment and being able to have options that other neurologists might not have.
I love that. I love that, doctor, because really that created such a toolbox for you,
That's correct.
using the best of both. I love it. So with you being a headache specialist, would you say that headaches are very common these days?
Oh yes, headaches are very common. It's one of the most common neurological conditions. And almost everybody will have a headache. There are very rare few individuals who never have a headache. And most common is what's called a tension type headache. So you're stressed out and you're doing a lot of work and you come home and you have a headache in front of your head. You want to just kind of relax and take it easy. Those are the most common type of headaches. But the number two cause of headaches is migraine headaches. It's very common. Almost 1/5 of women have migraine headaches, and a little less frequently in men. About 8%, 8 to 10% of men have migraine headaches. So migraine is a very common condition for women, especially, and the numbers are actually getting bigger. And not only that, a lot of patients with migraine, because they haven't been very successful in getting them treated, they're not very well treated, and there are a lot of patients who are suffering, and they don't necessarily need to be suffering as much because they think that there's nothing else that can be done, for their migraine headaches. But so the reason I'm doing all these interviews and that's the reason I wrote the book as well, is to educate people that there are many options available. So you don't have to just suffer in pain and in silence and not tell anybody because you feel that there's no hope for you. So the idea is that there is hope, and even though there are lots of patients who have this condition, there are new techniques and medications and other alternative therapies available that can be very helpful for you.
Yeah. Dr. Singh, what is the difference, the basic difference between a regular headache and a migraine?
Well, a regular headache, as I mentioned, it's, if you're tired, if you're stressed out one day, and you can have like a pain in either the whole of your head or maybe in the front part of your head. and it's not a very debilitating kind of pain. It's just a heaviness in the head, and there are no other associated symptoms. Now, migraine is actually is a neurological condition. There's some genetic tendency to it, but there are also a lot of social factors and environmental factors that play in it. And that's a very specific type of pain. It's described as a throbbing pain, mainly on one side of the head, whether it's the right side or the left side, or maybe behind one eye. But it's not a constant, just like a general ache, like the tension type headache, but it's more like a throbbing pain, like somebody's hitting you on the head with a hammer. There may be associated nausea, or people want to throw up, or they have light sensitivity, or sensitivity to sound, or other things as well, any kind of sensation. So typically migraine patients will tell me that light bothers them, so they will turn the lights off and find a quiet room, because noise also increases their pain. So they just want to roll up in a bed in a quiet corner and be left alone. Movement is a typical problem. That any kind of movement will make the pain worse. So that's a migraine headache. Sometimes they have an aura. So there's a type of migraine where they may have some visual symptoms before the headache begins. So they can tell there's a warning that they're going to have a headache. And typically they will know that the headache is coming, and they will want to take precautions and find a place where they can rest.
Yes, yes. Wow. I had a friend tell me once that they would like get a headache every night when they went to lay down and go to bed. So it was like this time of night they would get headaches. Is that common or is that a certain trigger, them going to bed? I know in your book you talk about migraine triggers, and I thought that was fascinating.
Yes, triggers are very individual, and many different things can actually trigger a headache. And people have made all sorts of lists, and when you go to some doctor's offices, they will have a list of possible triggers, and they will tell you, okay, if you have migraine, stay away from these things. The only problem I have with the list of triggers is that almost anything can be a trigger in a susceptible individual. Just having a list of things that are possible triggers means that you will have to give up almost everything in life that makes life interesting. So you have to kind of find what is a trigger for you. So if you suffer from a migraine headache, you may know that there are certain things that always trigger you. But it's nice to know that what are some potential triggers. Sometimes sugar is a trigger, sometimes red wine or other fermented products is a trigger. Sometimes any kind of chemical foods is a trigger. Certain smells can be triggers. Could be any time of day, and sometimes even the environment. Some people can actually tell when the weather is going to change, because they know that that something is happening, and the body knows, and it goes into a migraine, and they know that when this happens, the weather is going to be changing, or vice versa. That when there's a weather changes, they get a headache. So they're all different kinds of triggers. And in your friend's case, could be that time of day something happened. It wasn't just the time of day. Maybe something else was happening around that time that was a trigger for her. So it's very important to sit down and kind of go through the whole history to try to figure out what could be a potential trigger for that particular patient, and not just depend upon the list of all these different possible triggers.
Would you say that stress is a very important cause of headaches?
Yes, stress is a very important cause of all types of headaches. Well, the most commonly is the stress headache, what we call tension type headache, which is the #1 headache. So obviously the name itself tells you that stress is what's causing the headache. So if you're having a stressful day and you start having a headache, most likely it's the stress type or tension type headache. But stress is also a very important trigger for migraine headaches. So we know that patients who have migraine, that's one of the reasons I'm very big on stress management. Our society is very stressful, very stressed out in all different ways. And so it's important for people to learn how to manage their stress really well. In fact, my next book that I've been thinking of writing is on stress. And not just about managing stress, but going beyond that to try to figure out what's causing stress in your life and addressing the cause rather than just doing, taking a pill to help with a stress headache or just doing some relaxation. But those are also very important things. Learning how to manage your stress by learning how to relax, maybe doing some yoga, maybe doing some meditation, or learning some relaxation exercises, because stress is a very important trigger for all different kinds of headaches.
Yes, yes. And I really love the idea, Dr. Singh, of working on the root and the cause over just handling the symptoms.
Yes, that's very important. And that's one of the things that in Western medicine, generally speaking, when you go to a doctor, all they're doing is addressing the symptoms by giving you a medication to control the pain or other conditions as well. Now, I'm not saying that's not important. I mean, if you're suffering from a headache and your life is all turned upside down because of that, taking a medication to get rid of the pain or at least lessen the pain is very important. I'm not saying that that's not important, but at the same time, if that's all you do is just treat the symptoms of the headache and not addressing the cause of the pain, the cause of the problem, the patient will keep suffering until you do find something or something you find surreptitiously that there was a cause. Now, obviously, in Western medicine, we're also very interested in looking at specific, more life-threatening causes, because headache can be caused by something like a brain tumor or an aneurysm in the brain as well. So from that perspective, Western medicine is very good in that if we find a tumor or find an aneurysm, we can fix it. But those are that's a small percentage of all different kinds of headaches. And we call them secondary headaches, meaning that the headaches are secondary to something else that's going on, whether you have an infection in the brain or a tumor or bleeding in the brain or something more serious like that. But the type of headaches that we're talking about, like, for example, the migraines or the tension type headaches, we call them primary headaches, meaning that we don't know the actual cause. They just happen by itself. But it was very important to find, just because they're primary headaches doesn't mean that there's no cause. It's just a matter of finding what that cause is and addressing it properly.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Gosh. Well, and I'm also curious, what made you decide to open your Headache Institute?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, because of my interest in trying to help people find the cause of their problem and not just depend only upon medications, and with my experience with the other therapies like acupuncture and yoga therapy, and my own experiences when I was in India, when I grew up as a child, I used to go to a homeopathic physician and Ayurvedic doctors when I became sick. So because I knew that those things help, and it's hard for people to kind of find other therapists around, and so it's easy when it's all in one place. Because I found that when I was prescribing, let's say, to a patient, you should go to an acupuncturist, they would or would not call them, and then they would come back a month later, and when I would ask them, did you go see the acupuncturist? They would say, oh yeah, I became so busy, I forgot about it, and I didn't do it. So patients, we're all human beings. We want to take the easy way out. And so if you have to do a lot of work to try to get to a therapist or to another practitioner, sometimes we just don't do it. So if you have everything in one location, and I tell the patient, okay, now go see this person next door to me, make an appointment. So they make the appointment right then and there. It's much easier for patients to follow up and be seen and get treated properly. So that was the main impetus, is to having one place where we have all these different therapies for ease of use, and also because the other thing is that it's important for us to communicate with everybody else in the treating team, so we can figure out what's going on with the patient. So sometimes we will actually have like a multidisciplinary meetings where we will discuss patients, and we'll ask the acupuncturist, well, what did you think about this patient? Did the patient get better, or do you have any other suggestions? And the acupuncturist might say, oh, the patient needs such and such therapy to help work synergistically with the treatment that they are offering. So it's good to kind of talk about patients in a team, as a team approach, and then determine maybe there's something else that we need to focus on, rather than just going to a therapist and you never know, you never get any feedback from them as to how the patient is doing, or what they found as the cause. So we also learn from each other, and so we can treat our patients better in a more of a team approach.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Could you please share your website information, how the listeners and viewers can learn more about you, Dr. Singh?
Yes. If you go basically to treatmyheadache.com, so www.treatmyheadache.com, that will get you to my website. I'm going on the website right now just to make sure. Yes, and that will take you to that will take you to the website where you can actually buy the book if you wanted to, or then you can also access the other part of the website that has all the information, all the services that we offer, and also information about headache. You can sign up for my my mailing list for my blog as well. So the things that we do, because I try to give more information as new things come up. In fact, just recently, the FDA approved a new drug, which is which there's a lot of hope that this medication is going to be very helpful for a lot of people. And so, as these new treatments come about, and or any advances that happen, I try to put them on my blog or on my website. So go to www.treatmyheadache.com.
I love it. I love it. With just a few minutes left in the show, Dr. Singh, is there anything you really want to put out there to someone that's really suffering from headaches? Like a first step they should take?
Well, since everybody is so different, I cannot, I can't give medical advice without knowing the patient. But all I can say is that don't lose hope. There is hope. There are a lot of patients who are not going to their doctors because they don't think that their doctors have anything for them anymore. That they've gone to doctors, they haven't gotten any response, or they haven't gotten better. The headaches are still present, and they think that they have to live with that headache for the rest of their lives. That may be so, but I think that it's very important for you to not give hope and go find the right treatment, because the treatment does exist there. And go online, try to find physicians who may be able to help you, or at least refer you to somebody who is knowledgeable about all these different other techniques. So not just Western medicine, but open up your view to all different kinds of Eastern treatment modalities as well, so that you can find the right treatment for you. And go and get my book and get educated. The whole idea is to get educated as to what is out there that can help you.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And your book is so fantastic. And I really love the bringing the two different modalities, the medication, the Western medicine, and then myself, I love acupuncture. I mean, all those different things, there's a lot that can be done. I love that. And, don't give up hope, because there's things they can learn. Oh, yeah. Dr. Singh, this has been so fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, I am just so honored. And I want to say thank you to all the listeners out there. Love, hugs, and blessings. Dr. Singh, love, hugs, and blessings
Thank you very
so
much.
much.